everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 3, Episode 13, Ham Radio News and Updates 4/2/2025. Hope everyone is doing well this afternoon. Let's see who we got here. James, welcome. Good to see you this afternoon. Thank you for stopping by today. Got several things I want to talk about. A couple things I really kind of want to focus on today with some of these updates I've seen from some great YouTube videos that have come out there. So we're going to kind of jump right into it. Now, the first one is Walt did a great video on the MC750 antenna setup. Chris, welcome. Good afternoon. Glad you're here. UTV and Ham, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, guys. Okay. As I said, Walt did a great video on a new antenna from JNC Radio. It's MC750 antenna. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. Now, that's available on DX Engineering. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stop this screen and we're going to go ahead and share this. That's one of my beefs about StreamYard. They won't let you change your screen when you're on the internet like that kind of deal. So, yeah, this is kind of do back. That's the kit. That's what it looks like. There it is set up. You can see the radials there. That's what it looks like fully set up. And there's a center coil loaded right there. And that's fully set up and extended right there. It's 17 foot, $249. Walt had a great review on this. It really, for portable setup, you can't beat it. And for that kind of price, that's fantastic. And there was a gentleman who commented on this on Walt's video, and he stated he's been using an MC750 in his yard until he can get an end fed up. I worked DXCC phone with it in 7 months in 150 countries total on 18 months, all with 100 watts or less from Ohio. So this antenna has some great impact. It's something Walt recommends. I would definitely recommend it as well. It's something that is on my radar, and I'm real glad that Walt did a review on this. That's absolutely fantastic. So that's you definitely want to watch. All these videos are out on Ham Radio Facebook's, out on Twitter, everything that I'm talking about right now, or on X. I'm sorry, Elon wouldn't like that. It's out on X, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. Thank you from Sweden. Welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Really appreciate that. All right. Okay. So our next video here, I really wanted, let's go ahead here. Jason did a great video here, and he talked with John Kruk from Yaesu, and let's go ahead. I'm going to see if I can bring that up here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And he called the video "The Real Truth Behind Yaesu's Next Generation Radio Plans." Every time Jason has John, let me back up a minute here, okay? In case you guys don't know, John Kruk is to Yaesu what Ray Novak is to ICOM. He's one of their lead reps, okay, for lack of a better term. And John's knowledge, I could listen to John for hours, literally. I kid you not. And he just does a absolutely fantastic job in talking about radios in detail, not just from a Yaesu standpoint, but just from a ham radio standpoint. Extremely knowledgeable. I love it when Jason has them on. I told Jason a couple of times, I said, you know what? If you had him on for 4 hours, I'd probably listen to him for 4 hours. Okay. That's how interesting I think John is. And he's very, very detailed. This video goes over, it's an excerpt from a longer video that Jason did on what he had John on. It was like about a 2-hour kind of video right here. What does Yaesu have planned for the next FT-857 or FT-991A or 891A, as he talks about? Are they planning on adding 220 to any radio anytime soon? Spoiler alert, okay, they're not planning on adding 220 to any radio anytime soon, just to let you know that. Andy, welcome. Thanks for stopping by this afternoon. Joe, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Really appreciate that. So basically what he's talking about here, and Jason gets into a good discussion about 220 with John, and he has Tank from Tank Radio on as well too. And one of the things they talk about with 220, it can be popular in one area and not in another. It all depends on what part of the country that you live in. A lot of people want to see 220, but yet there's a lot of people in a lot of areas that don't really use 220. So it's kind of a mixed bag of things. And a couple of things that they bring up in the video, and I'll let you watch the video. I won't spoil it all. But one of the things that they bring up is they talk about, where Yaesu's number one customer base is. And of course, it's the United States, the same with ICOM, okay? Because that's the most hams around the world are located in the United States of America. That's just fact. That's just the kind of the way it is. But, how they gear their market and what they do and what they listen to. John did say, there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out over the next 3 years. And we're still waiting for the FT1X. That still hasn't come out yet. There still has been no news on that. I was kind of hoping to hear that from John. I, of course, watched the longer video, not a peep about that. And same in here, not a peep about that. Then I'm like, okay, I'm really ready to kind of see this radio here. But, one of my things and one of my comments that I left Jason was, a lot of people really like the FT-891, but obviously its menu system needs an update. Let's put it to you that way. And the user face needs an update on that as well. It's a great radio. It does a great job. You could use it as a home station. Obviously, a lot of people go out there and use it as POTA. I know Mike, K8MRD, Ham Radio Tube, he does that for POTA quite a bit. And I know Michael Martins, he uses that for POTA all the time. It's a great radio. You'll make contacts on that radio. I guarantee you that. You get a resonant antenna on there, and the sky's the limit. But, again, it is a little dated in terms of the user interface. And, a couple things I would like to see, and that's just me. Yeah, I agree, James. I absolutely agree. Have like a color touchscreen on there. You don't have to make it much bigger than it. Excuse me. You don't have to make it much bigger than it already is. But if you would put like a color touchscreen on there, that would be incredible. All right. And simplify the menu system. All right. Because, I know a lot of times, a lot of people, one of the things they complain about is, you're using it. And then if you go to switch bands and things like that, settings don't take, and you got to do a lot of settings again and stuff. So it's one of those, excuse me. It's one of those things. I think for me, I would really like to see an update on that. And I think a lot of people would. So, and John didn't say no on that when Jason was talking about that. So there's a possibility we could be seeing an update to something like that. So kind of stay tuned for that. I know a lot of people, I'm around IC 706 and 703. So I don't know the menus at all. Okay. Yeah, James. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, James. Yeah, that would be an absolute option. That would be an absolute option on there. So we'll see. But it's a great conversation. This is a shorter version of it was excerpted from his longer version. But if you have time to watch the longer version, please do, because John's very informative there. But he's also very informative here. But really kind of honing in on what we're looking at next gen as far as radios are concerned. And, I'm really hoping, I would wish, and this is just me hoping against hope, that ICOM and Yaesu would listen to us and collectively as a ham radio body, and, be able to take our suggestions under advisement, like an 891, a lot of people were talking about 220, but 220 is not going to happen. And a lot of what drives their building process, and John talks about it in the video, is parts availability as well, too. Whenever they're starting to design radios and looking to the future, they have to look at parts availability, where they can source them from, and so forth. So, and a lot of that plays into how they're going to go ahead and what they're going to do in the future. So kind of stay tuned. it was a great discussion. You definitely watch this video if you can watch one of the two. If you have time, watch the other one as well. Like I said, John is a fount of great information. I absolutely fantastic would do that. The 705, James, is absolutely fantastic. I have that myself, and there's a firmware update for it. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute. The FTX-1F is on my radar list, and I'm really kind of thinking and hoping and praying that the price point on that is very close or similar to the IC705. We'll see. Fingers are crossed. We'll see on that. So, yeah. But one of the things that kind of gets me both on the 705 and then on the FTX-1F is having to add a tuner to it. It just kind of blows my mind away. Okay. All right. We're going to move on here. All right. That was I thought that was a pretty good discussion there. Okay. All right. We're going to kind of hone in here on the 705. Now, one of the things that I can say is whenever there is a firmware update on a radio, I kind of lay back and wait. And that's kind of been my MO as far as ham radios are concerned. You guys, a lot of you know, and Joe knows, I have a drone channel as well too. When we get firmware updates for that, I pretty much do them automatically. But with ham radios, I kind of sit back and I want to see how things are. This firmware update, what it does is it adds a DX cluster feature. When connected to the internet, the waterfall shows live call signs info to help identify traffic. And you can see right here above each of these waterfalls, it's identifying the operator right there, which is fantastic. I think this is excellent information. That is great. But, getting these firmware updates, it's not an easy process. In fact, I'll be honest, I haven't done one on the 705 because anything that I've seen that has come out there, I really have not been swayed by it. It's not really adding a lot onto the radio. And, as far as benefits are concerned, but, and I put a poll out there regarding this as well too. And already I'm seeing what I'm seeing here. Have you done the update? Yes, no. And waiting on others, and waiting on others is getting a lot of votes right now. And I think that's where I would be too. And that's where I am too. It just, yeah, James. Yeah. The DX Commander. That's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this is a nice feature that they've added to this. I think it's great. Just, whenever you do a firmware update, you got to follow their procedure to a T, because I know some people have actually bricked their radios, and you don't want to do that. So you got to be really careful with this whenever you do this. Just a heads up, and follow their procedure for it. It's outlined. It's their step-by-step instructions. Don't take any shortcuts for this. Okay, that's one thing, because I know some people, for example, with some of the Zygu radios, like the 6100 or the 6200, they took some shortcuts to doing some firmware updates, and they bricked their radios. You don't want to do that. Okay, you need to be real careful when you do this. But it's an interesting feature. Like I said, I ran a poll, and I'll let you guys know what the results are next week. But I have a real strong feeling people are going to sit back and wait and take a look and see how this plays out. So stay tuned for this. Going to have more information on that as it comes up. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Okay, this guy's getting a new antenna, and wow, what an antenna! Okay, that's all I can say. Holy cow, that's a monster. It's an absolute positive monster. So we'll kind of keep posted on that. Well, okay, here's the poll right here, and right now I've only gotten 2 votes. I had seen more on. I thought I saw more waiting on others. It's 1-1 on this right now. So we'll see. We'll see where this ends up here. Okay. Walt tests a new antenna. It's called the MA50 portable ham radio antenna. Definitely, you want to check that out. Walt does a great job in testing these antennas. UTB and Ham, take care. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, James, you're right. Some are easier than others, but you have to be really careful with your firmware updates. And that's why I always tell people, Follow exactly what the manufacturer tells you. Don't take any shortcuts. Absolutely don't take any shortcuts with these here. Okay. Homebrew antenna on top of a minivan. Ever tried this antenna on the road? Does it even work? April Fools or maybe not. Definitely check out that video. I thought that was pretty good. I think you'll find it very interesting. Now, here's something that I saw real interesting. An ICOM watch. I'm thinking, okay, look at the date on here, folks. Okay, it got me too. Okay, April Fools. That came out April 1st. So yeah, all right. Smoking Ape has a new review out, and it's on the Anytone 578 UVIII Plus, unleashing mobile radio. So definitely you want to take a look at this. It's a less expensive option for you than some of the ICOMs out there or Yaesus. So something you could take a look at. As always, Smoking Ape does a great job. He puts it on the bench. He takes a look at it and puts it through its paces. So definitely that's something that you want to check out there. This was a great topic right here. And I'm going to go up to, we'll come back down here. POTA is one of the best things that ever happened to ham radio. I left this comment actually on Jason's video. Nets provide great local information along with occasional rag chew. Bottom line, it's all about being a good operator. POTA versus HFM radio nets, which is better for you. And yeah, it was a great. Jason has a great discussion about this here. And one of the things that I wanted to add to that is, yeah, James, I saw that, and I think that was, yeah, you're right. You are right. I'm not sure. I think this was probably somebody superimposed like a screen from the 7300 or 705 on it to kind of try to fool people. But yeah, you're right. They did come out. They did come out with one. You know, I have to say, one of the things I can say is when POTA came along, it really kind of caught fire. And I think it kind of caught fire with what I'll call my generation. And I don't mean to, the 50s, 60s year olds, really caught fire. And it's worked its way down. And I think it's really gotten very popular, and for many great reasons. Okay. It's a lot of fun, and it's different. It's a different way of quote unquote, I don't even want to call it contesting. But yeah, James, yeah, it's everybody loves it. And what I'm going to think about doing is, you guys probably know Mike, he lives in upstate New York. He does POTA videos all the time out there. And what I'm thinking about doing, and Mike, if you're watching, I'm going to email you or message you. Think about having you on for an hour or however long it takes to walk through the process of, I'm brand new. I want to get into POTA. What do I need to do to kind of walk through it from A to Z and cover all that? I think that would be good. So that I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, James. Yeah. A lot of people don't. You are not unique. A lot of people do not have home stations, and they operate portable all the time. It's basically me too. Anytime I set up and I'm doing things, it's portable. And, I usually the antenna is set up outside and I'll run the coax inside. So yeah. Prep and Paul, hey, thanks for stopping by today. Appreciate it. So yeah, so that's kind of how that goes. I think I'm going to get James on because, and part of the discussion that Jason had in this was, a lot of times, you'll be out there, doing POTA, and then you get somebody break in and say, you don't want to do QSY, or, our net's going to be starting in 15 minutes. And it's all, and it's all in how the operator approaches it. And I think, one of the things, you don't want to be a sad ham here. Okay. You don't want to say, this is our space. We've always been here this Thursday at 5:00, and this is our net. So get off and all this kind of stuff. No, don't do that. Say, get out there, 15, 20 minutes ahead of time, and get on there and tell who's overdoing the POTA, in 15 minutes, we're going to be, our net starts, and it's a weekly net that we started at 5 o'clock on this channel. So if you could kind of wrap things up, we'd appreciate that. When, killing this or putting a spoonful of sugar on it always helps the medicine go down. And it's the same thing with something like this. You want to be nice. You want to kill people with kindness, and kindness really goes a long way versus coming across, you better get off. This is something we do every Thursday at 5 o'clock. You should know better. You hear that kind of stuff as well too. Which would you rather hear? Obviously, So it's all depends upon the operator. And I think most times, most days, we do hear a lot of stories about set hams, but for the most part, I think most people are very responsible. Will definitely give way to a net that is usually on there, because a lot of times, when you're doing POTA, you don't realize, and you can't memorize all the nets in your area. You don't know when you're stepping on toes. But if you are, more than likely, if they give you fair warning. Now, don't come on and say, you got 5 minutes and 15, 20 minutes, be nice, give them some time to be able to do that. I think that's great. And yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly, James. Exactly. Being in POTA, you have to have some flexibility with that, because, a lot of times, you're cooking along in whatever band you're on, and then all of a sudden, time of day, propagation, boom. You might need to change bands. You might need to change location in the park. You might be stepping on somebody's net that's going to be coming along in 15 minutes. A lot of things can happen, but the idea is to be flexible with it. And I think, the more flexible you are, and especially how you approach somebody that is, we're going to be on in 15, and that's going to start in 15 minutes. It's a key. It's a real important kind of thing here. So. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, that would really put a foothold down on your POTA session for sure. That's that's a good one. I really like that. Oh, today I wanted to let you know where I live here in the Tampa, Florida area. We set a record high for April the 2nd. We hit 90 degrees today. We haven't done that. That breaks a record, I believe, that was set back in 1890, ever since they started keeping records as far as temperatures are concerned. So, yeah, it's quite warm outside. I'm like, okay, this is my time of year that I really love in Florida, because for the most part, with the exception of the past few days, the temperatures are very, very reasonable. Humidity's low, really kind of on the nice side. So, yeah, Chris. Yeah, it's all right. We get enough of that in July and in August and September, and in June. Let's kind of dial back. And fortunately, I saw the weather. It's going to be cooling down at about 15 degrees or so, which is much more reasonable for this time of year, in the mid 70s. That's what I really like, that with a low humidity. Like I said, from about February, Marchish on through almost May, beginning of June, it's the best time of year in Florida. Absolutely. It's just absolutely. Oh, okay, Andy. All right. Wow. Okay. That's what I got to say about that. So, okay. All right. Kind of moving on here. And this is the long version of that video that I was talking about with Jason, with John Kruk on there. I'm friends with John on Facebook. John's a great guy, and I really wanted to get a chance to talk to him. And when I went to Hamcation last year, I didn't go to Hamcation this year, but I went there every time I went to the Yaesu booth, he was teaching class almost every single time. And I went multiple times during the day to try to catch him, but I wasn't able to. So now this is a good one here. One of the guys that does copy and ham radios with TO bought an ICOM 2730B mobile radio. but it looked like ICOM forgot something in there, quote unquote. They don't include a lot of mounting hardware with this, and he was very frustrated with that, and he's not like almost ready to send it back, not because it's a bad radio, but because ICOM didn't include any of that. So he has to go out and buy some of this mounting hardware until he is able to get it in his car. So great video from Michael Martins on why mag loop antennas are amazing, and they are. You want to definitely check that out. And then our good friend Mike K at MRD, Ham Radio Tube, sorry, Mike. It's a solar charge controller. He does a great job with that. Mike does a great job with his videos on his home built battery kits that he has on solar power. He does a fantastic job on that. So you want to check out any of those videos that he does on that. I think he does an absolutely fantastic song. Yeah, it really is a great radio from what I'm hearing. Paul, I think, it's a shame though that, and I know a lot of people love that radio, and I've seen its popularity, but it's a shame that ICOM doesn't include some basic mounting hardware in there. He had to go back out and try to find some, like on DX Engineering, and he's able to find it, but it's kind of frustrating when you get all that, and you're ready to go and you're ready to mount it in your vehicle, and it doesn't have everything that you need. So kind of like he also said during the video, he should have looked to see what was included with it. And he really doesn't blame ICOM or MTC where he got the radio from. It's just, he's frustrated that he has to go and spend some extra money to get a mounting hardware for it. But it sounds like it's a great radio. It really does. It really does. Yeah. And Paul, you're right. And one of the things, James, that absolutely is fantastic radio. It really is. For me, I'm still, as far as a mobile is concerned, I'm just like, well, see, I leased my vehicle, and next year it's up, and I'm debating on whether or not to purchase it, because if I end up purchasing it, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll get a radio in there, and I'm kind of debating on what I want. And I think I might do a 7100 on a mount. I've seen some people do that with a great mount, because I really like the 7100 and all the options it presents. So we'll kind of see that and see how that goes. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that. Yeah, that was gone too soon, Paul. I agree, 100%, absolutely 100%. The FTM-400D, that's a great radio too, Chris. It's absolutely a great radio. There's a lot, no, okay, James, we'll be quiet. Okay, we won't share that information out there with anybody. So, that's kind of all I had for today. I wanted to kind of give you guys, heads up on a lot of these great videos out there. Jason has really a couple of really good ones, and if you can, watch the long video with Jason with John Kruk. He just, wow. Like I said, I could listen. I told Jason, I commented, I said, if you had John on for 4 hours, I'd probably end up watching the whole thing. Okay, that's how much I like listening to John, because he's very articulate, he's very knowledgeable, and not just about Yaesu, but ham radio in general, and really knows his stuff. Just wow, and just really, we're fortunate that we have people that we have access to, like John and Ray Novak too, from ICOM. We're very fortunate that we have access to those guys. So, okay, Chris, I didn't know. Wow, okay. Yeah, and I was really kind of hoping we're going to be doing some update on the 7100, James. Oh, okay. All right. That's that the 7100 it checks all the boxes for me for a vehicle radio. Okay, I just think having everything all in one package. I just wish the display was a little better, but it's monochrome. But it'll work for me. As long as I can function with it and function with it easily and not be distracted while driving. That's what I'm gonna be shooting for. So, oh wow, okay, Paul, wow, okay, wow, yeah. The 400 is a great radio, absolutely fantastic. I want to thank all you guys for stopping by today. Wow, really impressed with the number of guys you guys both, taking time out of your Wednesday afternoon to spend some time with us here on Ham Radio Basics Live. Absolutely fantastic. If you get a chance to watch those videos, like I said, I go through and I sift through a lot of videos out there, and I'm trying to bring ones that are real kind of noteworthy and really can provide you a lot of great information, guys. So yeah. So, okay. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. As always, guys, remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.